everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I'm your host, Hery Acosta. Like and subscribe for this content, but I'm just going to hop right into it. Now, first things first, Pacers are now 1-9, which is their absolute worst start in franchise history. And while as much as we can genuinely blame injuries, we also have to look at the elephant in the room. These players that we have on the court, whether they're good, whether they're not, just don't know how to play together. And this team is not an NBA team right now. We genuinely are the worst team in the league at the moment. That's with the Brooklyn Nets and the Wizards also being bottom barrel. But even with all these, originally the power rankings were set when the season first started, all due to Halliburton's injury. No one would have predicted that Nembhard would be out, that Mathurin would be out, Nesmith would miss a game, Siakam would miss a game, McConnell would be out for a while, Toppin would be out for months. So when this first happened, everyone's like, oh, they might not be the best team because Halliburton's going to be out. But I was like, you know what? We can still be very good because of the other players we have on the team. But then all those players went down with injuries. So what are we supposed to do? Now, let's look at the bright side of this game. Jay Huff had a double-double and also had 3 blocks. And he was 5 for 11 from shooting. So he was one of our better players last night. Jackson, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 1 block, 6 of 9. And then Nembhard had 9 assists. But I will be talking about our shooting struggles here soon because for some reason we just can't find the net. We just can't put the ball in the net, which is how you score points in basketball. And it's just been an absolute struggle recently for the Pacers to do anything of that sense. And that doesn't just count 3-point shots because we have been struggling on the 3, but it also counts the fact that we can't hit layups. But 9 players were out last night. That's a whole rotation. Obviously, I keep counting Hallie just because he's going to be on the injury report every game. But we didn't have Siakam or Nesmith, which are pretty much our 2 star players at the moment. And we still have Nembhard coming off a shoulder injury. So he's still probably not going to be the absolute best, which makes sense from his 5 of 16 shooting and, 2 for 9 from 3. Shepherd was 1 for 10. But that's something I'm going to talk about here in a second. But, it just seems that there's new injuries popping up every game. It just seems like we can't have a full rotation at all. We have Robinson Earl getting big minutes, but he had 12 rebounds, but he was 3 for 11. Cody Martin is getting 27 minutes. Monte Morris is playing 20. Tony Bradley is playing 16 minutes. Really, only Ray J and Taylor Peter are playing less than 10, and that's because, I think Ray J had a decent game in his 6 minutes, but he hasn't really shown that he should really be on the court longer than that. But hopefully we can get something rotating soon because I don't want Rick Carlisle to be kind of the scapegoat for this because a lot of teams do it. Rick Carlisle is the best coach that we can have at the moment, and he's doing what he can with this roster, but it's just not looking too good. But at the same time, Draymond didn't play too hot, neither did Kuminga. It was basically just Jimmy Butler was having a show against us, 10 for 15 shooting. Al Horford off the bench cooked us, 12 points, 3 blocks. And then Richard's been playing really good as a rookie, so I will give him full credit. Richard has been an absolute stud off the bench for the Warriors. But, basically we got cooked by the veterans. Butler and Horford had some really good games against us and didn't even have to play that long, because we were down a lot most of the game. But now I want to talk about the biggest struggle that Indiana has faced. The fact that we cannot make a basket. 32 of 94 shooting, 11-39 from 3. And we're still missing free throws. Now, we only missed 3 free throws, but at the same time, we barely shot any. JRE missed 1. Huff missed both of his. But, what are you supposed to do when you shoot less than 40% every game? A team that last season was known for shooting way better than every other team in the NBA. Best shooting team in the NBA pretty much for 2 seasons in a row. And now out of nowhere, we are the absolute worst shooting team. Now, yes, Halliburton is part of the reason that we're down a little bit, but Halliburton's field goal percentage was actually one of like the mid to low ones on our team just because of how many shots he took. Players like Neesmith, Nemhard, Toppin, McConnell, all were over 50%. But even there, I mean, obviously McConnell and Toppin are both out. But Neesmith's been down this year, and so has Nemhard. And I don't know if it's because everyone is, kind of adjusting to their new roles just because of how everything is going with injuries. But it's also just because, you know, I like the confidence. I like that everyone's shooting shots. I like that everyone's trying to get involved in the game the way they are. But it's just a lot of players are trying to play different games because Neesmith is known for catch and shoot when it comes to the three, and he's a really good mid-range shooter, and he can drive. But there's been a lot of times where he's trying to just create his own three, and those have been his worst shots of the season. And obviously, I'm not saying that he can't do it because we saw him do it against New York in the Eastern Conference Finals Game 1. But it's just he's trying to do it all the time now, and it's not looking too good. His field goal percentage is dropping like crazy, and it just hasn't been good. But let's just talk about what we can do. Just because it's what else can we do? We're 1-9. It's been 10 games. This may not I want it to be better. I think we can make some trades, obviously, but though I've been reading a lot of comments. I do like the way Jay Huff's been playing. I do like the way Isaiah Jackson's been playing. I haven't even really talked about the Nuggets game, just because. What can I even say about that game? Siakam started the game 1 for 10. Neesmith was actually balling out that game. Most of our starting lineup had less than 10 points. Jarris Walker he's been playing good, but he just keeps turning the ball over. It's just turnover after turnover. He had 4 turnovers in the first quarter against the Warriors. And so there just wasn't much to say about that Nuggets game. Jokic dropped 32, 14, and 14. He almost had a triple-double in the first half. We couldn't defend him whatsoever. He almost had a triple-double in the first quarter, but he needed a few more assists. And one more rebound. But obviously, he finished with that triple-double. We couldn't defend anything. We can't defend a parked car right now, which kind of sucks. But if this ends up being a season of tanking, which obviously we didn't go into this season hoping for a tank, it is good to try to get players some experience because you never know if players like Jay Huff or Ray J. Dennis or Tony Bradley or just anyone that usually you wouldn't see on another roster randomly start popping off, and then either their trade value goes up or they genuinely have a spot on the roster for next season. So I will look at the bright side just because I love this team. I am a diehard Pacers fan. I have posters, I got jerseys, I got everything. But that's it for the Pacers. Now I want to talk about just one little thing about other Indiana teams. IU, what a catch. Just what a catch by Cooper. Absolutely one of the greatest game-winning catches I've ever seen. So that keeps IU undefeated. And the Colts, man, Jonathan Taylor. There's nothing you can really say about the man other than this is one of the best running back seasons we're ever going to see. In 10 games, he has almost 1,200 rushing yards. He has close to 300 receiving yards, which he's almost at 1,500 scrimmage yards in 10 games. And he has 15 rushing touchdowns and 2 receiving touchdowns. So a total of 17 touchdowns in 10 games. And that's not even including the fact that he has five 3-touchdown games. 5 3-touchdown games, which is absolutely diabolical if you think about it. Yeah, because he had a couple games where he didn't score, and then some games where he would have 1. But he's been killing it. And I haven't been more excited to watch the Colts play. It's been just surreal. And obviously that game was a little stressful just because Atlanta was actually stopping our passing play a lot. They did pretty good against our O-line. Now, that's why in the middle of the game, all I said was You know, it would be crazy. It's crazy if we had an all-pro running back. You could just hand the ball off to it. He could turn nothing into something, and then 5 minutes later, well, obviously he did the 83-yard run in the middle of the fourth quarter. But as soon as halftime started, they actually started giving Taylor the ball more, and it opened up the game so much more than the first half. And that's what we need to do against Pittsburgh, because we ended up not doing that against Pittsburgh. We just kind of stopped because Taylor was having an off game. But even then, all he needs is one explosive run, and the rest of the game is cake for him. So, but glad I could talk a little bit about every other sport. But as always, I'm your host, Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby. And go, Sirs.